He's fast, humble, and probably Australia's most popular sprint car driver. Western Australia's Callum Williamson recently raced in the USA for the first time, but it didn't quite go to plan. Callum joined me to chat about how the opportunity came to be and why it ended prematurely. It's certainly not all bad news though, as Callum shared some exciting future plans for not only himself, but young crew chief Brodie Moller too. Callum's humble character really showed when talking about what it was like having others drive his car and then stepping back in to race with America's Best this past Christmas. He also shed more light on his injury, which caused him to be out of the seat for 9 weeks at the beginning of the Australian season. You had a great start to the Australian sprint car season and then were out with injury. What was the deal there?
It's sort of the new season that was going to be for 2023, 2024. So they started slowly. I was having bad heart arrhythmia probably about a month before the racing season started, and had to get that sorted. I actually had that drama when I was even racing in Darwin, and I think people noticed I sat out a meeting in Darwin as well. I just got it all tested and realised it was just bad arrhythmia, and I've had to do some things to get that sort of checked now and monitored. And I've got a monitor that sits in my chest that can track my arrhythmia. And if I ever feel that it's starting to come back again, they can record it and see what's going on. And I can sort of go from there and get it fixed a bit later on. But at the moment, it's not really bothering me too much. But that's what was sort of going on at the start of the season. And then we had other people in our car, which was good because I never want to see the boys sitting around just scratching their heads doing nothing. They took the car out, put David Priolo in it for the first round there at the Motorplex, Michael Pickens, and then James McFadden. So the 3 meetings I missed at the start of the season was still good to go and keep the team turning spanners and making sure that the car was quick for when I jumped back in it at the start of Speed Week. And it was my first round was the start of Speed Week, and we were racing against the Yanks, and seemed like the car was fast, and we done some good races there and got some good results.
Let's backtrack a little bit. What was it like having other people drive your car? I'm sure it would have been a bit of a weird feeling. Obviously, out with injury, it wasn't like you were supposed to be out there. You needed to look after your health, but some 3 very established drivers. What was it like, and what did you gain out of those guys stepping into your seat?
Yeah, well, I've spent my whole life racing. I've never had anyone jump in my own cars before, so to actually have someone drive my car and then seeing it from a different side of the track, where you're in the infield looking at your car get around, you just, I don't know, you see the car do things that that you don't feel in the car as well. So it was good to actually see it get around the track. And we obviously had James McFadden jumping in as well, and obviously he's been on the road and raced high limits and World of Outlaws for a while, and he was relating some stuff back to me on how we can sort of make the car, instead of thinking about the car going into the corners, how about you think about the cars coming out of the corner. And that was cool to listen to that and take that in car setup as well, and sort of work with him with that. And that sort of, I don't know, it made me think differently about the car being out of the car.
Was it interesting to watch your car go around and talk with your crew chief Brodie and have it, I guess, a different type of connection than you normally would when you're separated?
Yeah, it was kind of hard. I just let him do his own thing, like with the drivers, like he does with me, and it was cool to see. Like we've built this team over the last 13 years. It's cool to actually see now that, even if I'm not driving a car, we can still go to the track and be successful, and Brodie can actually, work with the driver and still get the thing on the podium, which is cool. But it was a time there where I sort of knew the car wasn't doing, not when James was driving it, when Pickens was driving it. I sort of knew what the car was doing from looking at it. With the top wing, we had a leading sideboard of 4 inches instead of our standard, and it looked like the car was getting in too easy for him and whipping them out too much. So it was good. I could relate that back to Brodie and Pickens, and they changed their top wing there, and it helped them. So it was kind of cool to actually watch it instead of actually being in the car as well, to know some sort of feedback I could give them.
It sounded like you learnt quite a fair bit, or looked that way anyway, because I actually flew over for Boxing Day, and to see you go out on track for the first time in what was 9 weeks out because of your injury, and then to go out and even the lap you laid down for qualifying, you really just hit the ground running, getting back in the car. It must have felt good to just get back in. And did you feel like refreshed and repaired, ready to go?
Yeah, I think watching so much of the racing and sitting at home, and I've never missed out in 13 years of racing, any racing in my life really, due to health or holidays or anything. I've always been at racetracks, so I was just hungry to get out there and do well. And it was great that we had our car on the track three meetings prior to get it tuned in for Speed Week, and I just felt so comfortable, laying those laps out and qualifying, and then to get to do my first laps for so long was even better. And just everything clicked and was good. And yeah, it's sort of, I don't think I've had that in my whole career of my racing, where I've just hit the track running and everything's been quick from the get-go. Usually it takes a little bit to build on speed during the season, but we literally ended our season the year prior with great speed, and then it just started the whole new season with the same speed. So it just got better and better. And that's what I'm sort of hoping for this season coming as well, that we finished on the high, so hopefully we can start that as well this year.
You were so competitive against the best in the world. Let's be honest, Brad Sweet and Rico Abreu, no slouch either. I mean,
Yeah.
he won on Boxing Night, and then the incredible race that you guys put on at the Perth Motorplex on the 28th of December. Can you just touch on what it was like racing with those guys, and obviously other Americans and even the locals in their best equipment that they run throughout the season? Must have been such a cool experience for you to be competitive and kind of prove your worth during that period.
Yeah, well, even just getting that announced that they were coming over was a win for us. I didn't think I'd ever get the chance to run against Brad Sweet or Rico Abreu and that. So we're quite lucky just to even race against them. And they got over here, and we lay down our laps in qualifying and managed to start off near the front to even be competitive with them. And in the feature races there, when you get beside them, you're more hungry to beat them than you are to beat a local, because it might be the last time you get to race them. So yeah, we managed to race that race on the 28th against them, where me and Rico and Brad were Dyson lap after lap. And like, I never felt uncomfortable to put a slide job in, and never felt uncomfortable when they were sliding me back to where I had to get off the gas and bind it up into the wall. I felt like I could tuck in underneath them, and they're going to leave me enough space to keep racing them. And that's what happened lap after lap, racing against Brad, and same with Rico as well. They're just, they're going to race you hard, but they're not racing you dirty. And you can race your own race, but yeah, at the end of the day, on that race, the quickest car won, which was Brad. He took off towards the end there. He wore me out for 12 laps, and I had nothing for him. But it was a cool experience, and hopefully, with what the Moplex are doing this year, that we'll get that same sort of racing this year. And you can see by the looks of Dane Kingshot and Caden Manders and a few of our locals now, with what they've done in the end of the last season, I think we're all going to be that competitive now. I knew Dane Kingshot had some bad qualifying runs there, and he got them sorted towards the end of last season. But if he gets his qualifying sorted during the speed week, he could do he could do better than me in those sort of races. It's just it's going to be interesting to see, how good we're going to be when they get back.
You are such a humble competitor, and I don't think you realize just how popular you are in WA. We travel to all of the major events across Australia and now the USA as well, and you're probably the most popular Australian driver, I think. Do you realize that you're a fan favorite, and do you think your popularity helps you out when you're on the racetrack?
Um, it is quite nice having a lot of people supporting you and backing you, and obviously you don't want to go down to racing having other competitors or drivers not wanting to talk to you, or you're not welcome around their transporter and that. So it definitely helps to like everyone and try to get along with everyone. So it is quite nice when you're on the track and people are cheering and drivers are coming around wanting to talk to you. So that's sort of how I've been growing up with racing, was to obviously be nice to everyone, because you never know what could happen on the track. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see a lot of other drivers starting do well on the track, and yeah, just got to give them the props when they do it.
Yeah, I think your popularity and your character really showed, because not only did you, I think, gain a lot of more fans in Australia, but obviously over in the States as well. Everyone was paying attention to what was happening over in Perth during that period. And it seemed like the opportunity for you to race in the USA just recently kind of came from that. Is that how it all panned out?
Yeah, I think yeah, just during the speed week, we just ran really well, and if it wasn't for the Motorplex and Gavin and the SEG series for getting our TV made into Toyota, and the Night Thunder broadcast to the rest of the world like they'd done, we wouldn't have got the opportunity. But obviously, we raced well and everything aligned, and the TV was there for the Americans to watch. During the end of Speed Week, I got the phone call to obviously drive someone's car, which was pretty cool. And they gave me a call in the middle of the night. Obviously, we're 12 hours behind their time. I got a phone call in the middle of the night saying we watched you on Clay per view, and we think you're pretty good, and we would like to get you over here to drive our car. So yeah, we took that opportunity straight away, and it was pretty cool to get over there and make it happen.
Yeah, tell us about your trip, because obviously an iconic ride to jump into the 39. How did all that sort of pan out? I'm sure you had to put a fair bit of planning in for that, and you left basically as soon as the season finished here. Tell us about your trip.
Yeah, it was great. There's obviously good stuff and bad stuff out of a trip for the first time doing the US tour, but it's not easy. Like you got to obviously plan around. Well, I'm a full time worker with my own business. I've got to plan around work to do it. Put things in place so I can go away for 3 months. And we obviously got over there and set our seat up in the car and pretty much got straight into it. I think we're only over there for 3 days before we're on track. So yeah, put our seat into it, introduced ourselves to the team, and got working on the car. Before we got over there as well, um, it was a it was a shame. I think Linton Jeffrey jumped in that car, and he got caught up in some crashes there, and the two cars I was supposed to race when I got there were both junk. So the first 3 days was putting together a sort of second-hand car and trying to get that thing worked out. But yeah, we went to Lincoln for my first meeting there, and laid some laps down around the new track in America, which was pretty cool. But obviously, well, I don't know. It's when it's a dream of yours your whole life to go race in America, and when you get the chance to actually do it, yeah, I sort of overdrove the car a little bit too much for that first night in Lincoln, and I don't know if anyone's seen. I got the front wheels up out of the corner and laid some
Yeah.
pretty small laps, and then built on that during the end of the night. But yeah, it was pretty hectic for the first night racing in America.
Lincoln, Baps, Williamsgrove, Port Royal must have been pretty cool to run at some of those places. But at the same time, you're a racer, and like you just said, getting the front wheels up and things like that. That's not ideal. And I'm sure you want to be competitive. What was it like over there driving someone else's car and trying to be fast in that?
Um, it was definitely hard. I've raced obviously um, the Monty's car one time with Kim Buswell and Rich Monty and that, and that was a really quite easy deal because yeah, just everything gelled quite well, and um, the car was made to suit me. I remember Buzzy telling me that we had to do a lot of stuff to that car to make it work for me compared to how it worked for James, and I jumped in that deal over in America, jumping into their car, and obviously you think it's going to be the same sort of thing, but that team's been running for about 20 odd years, and they've had it set up for how they want the driver to drive it. And I jumped in that car and thought, this is not that comfortable for myself to drive, and can we just try little things to change it and make it better for me? And sometimes teams don't want to do that, sometimes teams do, and we we just sort of raced our 10 shows at Port and Baps and tried to make the car quicker and get comfortable. And I think we'd done about 10 shows, and it got to the stage where I couldn't get comfortable in the car. And yeah, we sort of ended the tour a little bit early. We were going to do 40 odd shows, and we ended up doing 10 and just calling it, calling it a mutual departure. I'm departing.
So do you think that was like you were happy to kind of let it finish there. I know, I mean, I've raced in the States as well, and it is not easy. Even when, I felt fast, it was, half a second, 6/10 off in qualifying, when you're racing the outlaws and things like that. It's not an easy thing to do. And I think hearing about your opportunity was fantastic, but and I'm sure people with experience within the industry is like, these opportunities aren't always necessary, not a bad thing, but not always 100% good as well. How do you reflect on your stint, I guess, over there, although it didn't end the way you wanted it to?
Yeah, it's there's always good out of bad situations as well. Like we were very happy to end it as it was because at the end of the day, if you the team's got a financial outlay as well. Like if we're not getting results, then they're just you're just wasting money just doing it. And at the end of the day, I'm not gaining anything as well as a driver because I'm doing slow laps, I'm not doing racing laps. So it's good to do the race in America, but at the end of the day, if you're not competitive, there's no point doing it. So the best thing that's happened out of it, though, is we're staying at Steve Smith's house there in a unit on the side there. And obviously, he's a well known racer in PA. And their family came to us after being there for so long and said to us, guys, well, how about sitting around? You start cleaning out that shed where Steve's engineering room is, and you can bring your own stuff over next year in sea containers and race out of the shed. And that's pretty much what we done with our time while we are there. Was we had 2 months of cleaning that shed out and painting the walls, painting the floor, getting ourselves set up, and gone around meeting people and getting parts for our own deal back at home. So some good stuff came out of a bad situation. So it was great, very very lucky to have a great family like the Smiths there and the Lepos and that for letting us into their homes and treating us like family, and now setting us up so we can go backwards and forwards every year and container our own cars over there every year to race.
That's awesome, man. So you've now got a shop to work out of. It's ready to go, and you'll send gear from here over to the States, or you'll get some parts in the States. Obviously, a lot of sprint car parts are made in the States anyway.
Yeah, so Brodie Moller, our crew chief, he's thinking about he's obviously putting this deal together with Brian and how they're going to do it all, and he's worked out maybe the best way what we can do is race our season back at home and with our our second-hand cars that we race for the season if they're still straight and all of that. He'll pop them into a sea container and send them over straight to America, and he'll pretty much fly over there and open the container up and build a couple of cars there. The only thing that we'll probably need to get is engine for over there, and probably maybe take one of our carries as a spare as well, or a engine to race. So that's the only thing we've got to work out. And that's what we're going to be doing. Maybe buy a mill over there, buy a trailer, just like a small little trailer over there, and they tow them around in those F-250s. So we'll get something like that, and away we go. So the financial outlay with what we spend here to race our series and stuff is probably not going to be so bad racing over there and getting an extra 30 meetings in on the off season. So I know I'm not getting any younger, so we decide let's go do this for next couple of years or 3 years. And Brodie's obviously at that age now where he's going to be a very great crew chief one day, and I think this is a great opportunity for not just me, himself as well, building a team in America and taking obviously Williamson Motorsport himself further.
Yeah, it sounds like this has been a great experience, not just for you, but for Brodie as well. What did this stint do for your confidence first? Like, I'm sure it was a great experience, but at the same time, do you kind of blame yourself, or do you feel like there's things that you could have done better?
Um, yeah, you always look at what you could have done and what you did and stuff. And I think a week there, I was just thinking about my racing. If I could have done this on the corner, or I could have done something better in the heat race. But at the end of the day, we were quick in qualifying. We got some results. I missed out on the dashes by, or 3 dashes in a row by one position, and there's just a bit of luck that had to go my way. But um,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I don't feel like I was gaining any experience while I was over there, which um, sounds like I should have. But I only done
Mhm.
10 shows, and I raced four different tracks. But at the end of the day, I didn't feel comfortable, and I couldn't feel my right rear for most of it. So yeah,
Mhm.
I know the new tires is a big issue over there, but I didn't feel it. But yeah, Brodie came over thinking that he was going to obviously turn some spanners on the car as well, and obviously learn some stuff. But the best thing that's happened now with it as well is Casey Kane obviously got hold of Brodie Moller, and he's going to do 6 weeks on the road with Casey Kane as his crew chief.
Wow.
So that's going to be very handy for Brodie to obviously have his bit of fun out of the whole trip as well. He gets 6 weeks doing the high limit shows, and I got my three months over there. I spent two with my wife and daughter and mum, so that's even better for me as well.
How old is Brodie?
Uh, I think he's 22 now, so um,
Wow.
yeah, he's 22, but I reckon he knows a fair bit on the car, like any other crew chief.
Yep.
Yeah, he's done very well, and I think the thing he's focusing on now when he gets home is to get his truck license so he can drive the transporter to and from tracks. And I think he'd be his own crew chief. He can go off and do anything he likes after that.
That's an incredible experience for him. How did that deal come about with Casey Kane? Like I mean, Brodie obviously achieved a lot with you and he's learned a lot. I know working with the Monty team and things like that. So where did that come from? Obviously, I'm sure he jumped at the opportunity, but where did that come from?
Well, I think Brodie and James McFadden are really good mates, so they always message, and James is pretty good with everyone who's stuck around him for racing. So I think he's given the word to Casey that Brodie's obviously in America sitting around doing nothing, and that this kid's pretty good at what he does, and he's up and coming guy. And I wouldn't say that. I feel like he's a veteran in the sport already. So
Yeah.
he gave him obviously Brodie's number and said, "Call this guy if you need someone to crew chief for you." I think Casey had a crew chief, but some stuff happened there where I think he's just got rid of it and just wants to start over again with stuff. So yeah, he ended up contacting Brodie, and Brodie's at the shop at the moment getting his gear ready. And I think that's come from James himself, but I wouldn't know the fine details.
Yeah, no, of course. No, that is an incredible opportunity for him and great for you for when now you're back in Australia. Obviously, you got back yesterday. Yeah, you obviously going to have a big season here. I'm sure Brodie will be better for the experience and your 10 races that you got to do in the States, I'm sure will only help. What are your plans for the Australian season?
Yeah, so we've got obviously we're going to try to do all of Maintenance Toyota this year. I think there's the Adelaide 500 as well that's sprung up, which is
Yep,
pretty cool. So we're going to do that. Murray Bridge, I think there's Australian tolls at this year.
yep,
We're
yep.
going to do that one, the classic. Mount Gambier, the King's Challenge, and I don't know if they're putting. Is it that lookalike Peevely track? I'm not too sure if they're going to race there at
Yeah.
all around that period, but if they do, we'll definitely rock up to that and have a look. But other than that, that's probably the race I'm going to do. And um, after the end of that season, we're pretty much packing our bags and getting ready for America as well. So that's going to be our little bonus at the end of the season to go to America and race 3 months. But yeah, got a lot of work to do. So I think Brodie's got
Yeah.
6 weeks to put the cars together, and the car that I had for the last meeting is trashed now because I put it in the wall while eating. So he's got a little bit of work to do. But the best thing is he's over there at the moment making good contacts. He's obviously got a lot of parts he's ordered as well while he was over there, and he's got them coming back to Australia to rebuild his cars and get them ready as well.
Man, that is so awesome. It's great to hear that you obviously got the opportunity to race in the States and that something good has come out of it in the end for both you and Brodie. Can't wait to see what you do for this Australian season. It seems like you're only improving more and more and getting faster and faster. As I said, you're hugely popular here in Australia, and it's great to hear that you're going to push on with racing in the States as well. Thanks very much for your time, man.
Yeah, no worries at all, mate. Good talking to you.
Hey, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to head to our socials to not only connect with us, but see way more content. But what we'd really love you to do is make sure you've clicked subscribe and grab your gear on springcarhub.com.